Brigadier Mkhwanazi and his unit, the VIP protection side, the specialized services, and all of those officers were very seriously protected by the city manager, by the head of legal, by the head of HR. They protected Brigadier Mkhwanazi to the extent that I cannot explain to you the victimization even I experienced, where I was completely pushed out.
Hier so by die.
Nou.
Nog 'n bietjie. Okay. Ja, dis reg gekom. Kom op play. Kom net so los. Dit was 11:54. Ek gaan ook nog maar net so play. Dit is groot check hier so die inklim.
That is Etienne. That's the Etienne person, the civilian climbing out of the passenger.
Thank you, Commissioner Spies. That then brings us to the matter dealt with under item 4.
The item 4.1 is allegations of theft of copper at a plot in the Meyerton area. And this information was corroborated not only when IPID gave this information, but I also got from an informant, which is Jaco Hanekom. And he was shot the day Stolz, Mackenzie and Twala, the morning they got bail, that morning, that 12 o'clock that same day, Jaco Hanekom was shot in a drive-by shooting, which the police alleged is a hijacking that went wrong, but it looked to me and everyone on this, it looked like a hit. But he gave video clips and of what happened and took place. And there's a person with the name of Willem, that's a complainant close to the R29 in Meyerton. But it's also stated that Willem doesn't trust the police and he doesn't want to get involved because the local police also doesn't want to involve them. And in this video clip, and we most probably going to show the video clip, but the person who is speaking over the video clip, explaining what's happening on that is a civilian who is most probably family from Willem, but it's someone speaking there. And in that, when he speaks, he mentions the person's name, but just his name, not his surname or anything like that. But it's an incident where our officers, together with this civilian, arrive on scene with unmarked cars, and one car has got a mark on, and they stopped at the front gate. The civilian with a red shirt tries to climb over the fence. It's a very high fence. He tries to climb over the fence, and then eventually the gate is opened for him and all the vehicles drive in. The civilian climbs into the Kershaw stall. She's one of the officers. It's her patrol car that's been assigned to her. The civilian climbs in her patrol car and he drives the car into the premises, driving the police car. And then the cars are standing around there and they're accosting the owner and they're discussing with him. They stole the copper and everything from him. That's what Mr. Makagula is saying. But then at this point where they're speaking about the last car that came in, they all went to the right rear passenger door of this car. And as they got there, the door opened and Mkhwanazi, the Brigadier Mkhwanazi at that stage, he climbs out of the right rear side as if he's being escorted or as if he's a principal VIP protection. He climbs out there and you can clearly see him on the video clip where he stands and talks to them and gives instructions to them. So that's a matter that's also being investigated by IPID and Magagula and them, but which is not concluded to date. There's nothing, even internally, there's nothing that has happened with that matter.
Can you just confirm, Commissioner, Meyerton is also outside of Ekurhulene's jurisdiction?
That's correct, Commissioner.
My understanding is that in Midvaal, is it?
Correct, Commissioner.
And then your reference to R29, is it 29 or 59?
It's what I wrote there, it's R29 is as Mr. Makagula said it to me and I write it down. I don't know the exact address at all, but it is definitely in Meyerton and R29 was mentioned. I know the R59 goes through them on the side, but I don't know if it's the correct address or not.
But my issue remains that apart from the criminal activity, if you have EMPD police officers using EMPD vehicles, driving outside of the jurisdiction of EMPD, apart from criminal issues, I mean, isn't that misconduct that should result in them being subjected to discipline?
Correct, Commissioner.
And you being the deputy police chief at the time, one of the deputies, why did you not raise that issue internally to say, I know IPID has its own processes, NPA has its own processes, but if we allow EMPD officers to drive outside of jurisdiction and do things there which they should not be doing, that's a serious labor issue.
Commissioner, it was mentioned.
Can I just add also to what Commissioner Khumalo is raising, that the involvement of a civilian in an EMPD operation where they are even outside jurisdiction sounds to me would also be a disciplinary issue. And so when you answer, Commissioner Khumalo, taking to deal with this as well.
Commissioner, when we received this information on the 6th of March and we were discussing it, we also had, when we came back, we had a discussion where we had a meeting internally with Kolani and Nisa from HR to say that these are all the cases which is being mentioned. But for these matters, it was mentioned to us by Magagula, but we don't have evidence of that. We have video clips which doesn't really relate to it. So we don't have proper matters that we can put into a disciplinary matter. But when we discussed it, because Magagula and IPID stated to us the day before that they are imminent, they're going to be arrested, and then these matters will come to the front. Internally, it was decided by HR that they only want to proceed with the one matter. And that one matter was the serious, the blue lights, where we have all the evidence already that we can proceed with a disciplinary matter. So from our side, we did give it to HR to say, but yes, serious matters. But the decision was made that we will deal with the one matter, which is very serious, and we have all the evidence. The others are proper hearsay. We cannot really deal with that at that stage in time.
Commissioner, my concern is that there are this many issues. You've only highlighted a few, but if internally EMPD does nothing about this, it promotes the culture that police officers, I mean, you've got a similar Hillbrow case where apart from whatever was stolen, EMPD officers went to Hillbrow police station, completed forms that should be completed by subs, then proceeded to the residence of somebody and robbed that person of precious stones. But again, no HR-related consequences. It's almost like EMPD and Ekurhuleni leave those issues to IPID, and they do nothing about it. And this promotes a culture within EMPD of impunity.
Commissioner, it's very true what you say, but the atmosphere and the environment where we operated, Brigadier Mkhwanazi and his unit, the VIP protection side, the specialized services, and all of those officers were very seriously protected by the city manager, by the head of legal, by the head of HR. There's even a nickname that we used to use for the city. It's not the city of Ekurhuleni, it's Kemashli, which is the abbreviation for Kemi Bihari, Imogen Mashazi, and Linda Kasheka. They protected Brigadier Mkhwanazi to the extent that I cannot explain to you the victimization even I experienced, where I was completely pushed out. In the structure itself, I was appointed as a Section 56 employee with a fixed term, fixed performance contract. However, in 2024, Council adopted a new structure which changed the whole structure of the Metro Police, that they report now to a civilian. They don't report as per SAPS Act anymore to the city manager and accountable to her. My position where I was appointed in, the Deputy Chief Auxiliary and Support Services, was completely removed of the structure. When I queried it with the HR people as to why would there not be a support and an auxiliary, how do you get rid of me? I'm still in the post. The words that was directed at me was, you will sit here and read newspapers for the next 3 years till your contract ends. So there's and I touched later on it, there was even meetings held where the city manager absolutely unprofessionally pushed us aside and actually tries to forcibly interfere into our matters. They were properly protected. Doesn't matter what I say or do. I will touch on it. There will come to a point where it deals with vetting. It deals with criminal records, where the manner how it was being dealt with. So there's a situation of fear in the Metro Police against this small group of officers that has completely taken over the city, but with the protection of the city manager, the head of HR, the head of legal, who's protecting them. There's even false reports being generated and created where they try to push us and get us out of the system and to push us aside.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. You then have given a brief overview of this Meyerton copper theft case. You have a date in the fourth column, 16/2022. Is that when it occurred?
That's the date that the original crime occurred.
You, in your testimony, referenced videos, which now you've made available to us. And once again, Commissioners, if you could just make a note for yourselves, we will update your files so that we formally introduce them as annexures to his statement. You gave us 3 short videos, and I think you have indicated the order in which you want them played. The first one is very short, so I think we'll allow it to play, and then you'll explain to us what it is you perhaps at the beginning, explain to us what we'll be seeing, and that's how we will approach each one of them. Then we play the video.
The first very short one, it's a camera at this premises, which is at the outside gate. Where the for sale sign stands, on the right-hand side is the actual entrance to the property. The vehicle that approached there is our Metro Police vehicle. So it approached on the gravel road, and it's going to turn to the left, stop in front of the gate. Then it will follow up with, you will see officers come out of the vehicle, 1 or 2 stays at the gate outside. They go stand at the gate armed. They're standing at the gate. They don't allow anyone else to come into the property. They're guarding from outside. And then on the next video clip, you will actually see a camera from inside pointing at the gate, where in the top left corner, the private individual with the red shirt is trying to climb over the fence. And then at the next moment, the gate will open. This vehicle in front of the gate will pull in, and then the second vehicle will also come a little bit later. And the female officer, Kershali Stolz, she's the one speaking to the owner then, this Willem. And then it will go to the actual vehicle at the back, where Mkhwanazi climbs out of the back of the vehicle, and then they stand in a group and speak.
And as we go through it and you need us to stop, please indicate so that you can assess to the extent that it's possible to identify the people that we are seeing in any particular video. Okay, we're playing the first one.
Ja, toen meneer Zaken zo.
Okay, we're going to try and slow it down. It seemed to...
But it is only 7 seconds, Commissioner.
It is 7 seconds.
It's just that portion where the car approached and it stops in front of the gate then.
And you confirm that this is, firstly, an EMPD vehicle?
Correct.
And secondly, the clip, what we are seeing on that clip is the approach of that vehicle onto the complainant's property. Okay, then you can play the next. We start the next clip.
Hier so by die.
Now.
Nog 'n bietjie. Okay. Ja, dis reg, get hom. Okay, kom maar play. Kom net so los. Dit was 11:54. Ja, ek kan hom maar net so play, dit is groot check hier so die inklim.
That is Etienne. That's the Etienne person, the civilian climbing out of the passenger.
And you say that's an unmarked EMPD car
So
that is coming out
both
of.
vehicles is unmarked EMPD vehicles, and that civilian is the one that they will refer to as Etienne the whole time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daar's Kersha. Ja, dis Kersha.
The officer on the bottom right-hand corner with the black hair, female officer, that's Kersha Lee Stalls. And then the officer, I don't know the other officers by name, but they are from the specialized services. The one with the denim on the left-hand side, I don't know his name, but he also works for us.
And you know that you don't know his name, you know he works for you. How? Have you seen him?
Because it's been confirmed by everyone that looks at this video. They know, the officers on the ground knows them. I just know that they say, this is our officer, this is our officer, and some you can see in uniform, it is our officer as well. This one in the red shirt is the only civilian one that we know that doesn't work for us.
Thank you.
Ja, dis Kersha.
I don't know if we saw, you mentioned a lady. Is she the one closest to the gate in front of the gentleman in red?
Correct, Commissioner. She walks towards the camera, right next to the gate, but you will see a better angle of her when they go to the inside
Okay.
camera.
All right, thank you.
So it's 11:54.
If we may pause, can you identify the person on the screen now?
That's also one of our officers dressed in a golf shirt, but with our cap, EMPD cap, and then the EMPD pants and a rifle and everything. I also don't know his name, but the officers know him, that he's from specialized services.
Okay, thank you.
That officer stays the whole side, the whole period. He stays at that corner of the gate, protecting in and out.
This particular...
That particular officer, he doesn't come into the premises. He stays at that gate, guarding the gate.
Okay.
Before we proceed, the visuals, the facial visuals here of this officer in particular, it's not very clear, but from what you have viewed, and you say he's identified as one of your officers, are his facial features clear enough to see who it is?
Commissioner, it's what we do with the officers. It's because we know we work together with them. For instance, Officer Stolz, there's in the Metro Police in Ekurhuleni, there's only 5 white female officers, and there's always a misunderstanding between my wife or my life partner and Officer Stolz, because both has got long hair, black hair, and both is about the same height. So there's always confusion about that. And therefore, I can immediately, when I see them, I know the difference between my wife and
We hope.
Constable Stolz.
We would hope,
So
Commissioner.
even in the way she walk, and Officer Stolz, I know her much better than the rest because I was in charge of the Ekurhuleni shooting team for Metro Police games and things like that, and she was one of my members on my shooting team. So I know her better than what I would know all the other officers that is in specialized services because she was on my shooting team for close to 4 or 5 years. And then the resemblance to my wife where she gets confused. The only difference really when you see quickly is that people will confuse them, but we won't because she's got tattoos from her tribal tattoos all over her arms and her face, where my wife doesn't have tribal tattoos.
And this officer here, your people were able to identify him.
Yes.
And put a name to him and where he's.
Yes, Commissioner. From the team, they can immediately say, but this is an officer that worked together with him, and based on his demeanor, his walk, and the way he looks and his face, we can identify officers because we work together with them. But I cannot because I'm at the management level and I very seldom see the operational officers in that manner.
I understand. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. We continue with the tape.
Nou, die ander ene wat heel eers nie afgestaan het, was hy gesê, hy is die gedien. Okay.
And I think we will also do it formally. But are you able for the moment to translate the conversation in Afrikaans, just to give everyone a sense of what's being said?
I can, Commissioners, I just haven't listened to that last words, but
No, but just generally what the conversation is about and from your understanding between who?
The person that's doing the speaking here is asking someone else, is this the Brigadier? And his answer was, no, you'll see him later, he's in another car. That's the gist of what's happening here.
Okay. And do you know who's speaking?
No, I don't know who's speaking. Okay. I received this video clips from Jaco Hanekom. I don't know who is speaking. From the discussion, when Jaco Hanekom discussed it with me, when he introduced this evidence to me and he says, this is what he has seen, he stated that they actually came back to remove the evidence. But when Willem's son or someone has actually took out the hard drive, put in a brand new hard drive, and they came and fetched the brand new hard drive. So it was a joke actually how they operated, because this incident took place, but when it was reported by Willem, and this comes from Jaco Hanekom now, is that when it was reported by Willem to the police, this group came back the next week to retrieve the hard drive from him. But they retrieved the wrong hard drive. And so the people who are speaking, I don't know. I know that one is Willem, because you can hear that he's asking the person who is this and what happened, and then the or the uncle is busy explaining back to them who it is.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, Commissioner, the voices that we are hearing, that you're being asked about, these are not people on the scene at the time.
No, Commissioner.
Okay.
It's people who's narrating what happens afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Start tracking in.
He's pulling in, and then the second car is coming in as well. We're going to stop and then show the inside camera.
Nou, die oogie toe, die oogie nou.
Yes, he's closing and I directly walked out and I told him to put the board in front. He doesn't have to stay there.
So daar sit in die kar binne.
Ja. I'll run it yourself.
Before it ended, The gentleman in blue and a cap, is that a rifle in his hands that he's got?
Correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Yes, there it is. Okay. And you say this gentleman stayed at the gate and never moved?
He stayed at the
according to
gate, he
his
didn't
claims.
come on. Even from the other camera angle, you will be able to see that he stayed at the gate. But there's two officers that stay at the gate. The other officer that earlier was sawn with a denim and that, you also don't see him inside again. So that officer you can see stay at the gate, but the other officer, I make an assumption that he went to the other side of the gate and he stood there at the outside of the gate.
Okay.
You said, Commissioner, that golf shirt that he's wearing, it's part of your uniform.
It's not part of our official uniform at all. So the pants and the rifle and the cap is our uniform, and we have a blue shirt. That is normal part of us. But the specialized services, they would use out of their own, on most probably direction of their brigadier, they will use a blue golf shirt, but it's not provided uniform, that shirt itself.
Can we just go back? I thought I saw that at the back. It's written EMPD. Am I wrong in my observation?
At the back of the shirt.
Yeah.
It would be embroidered by themselves.
Okay. I think you can stop. I think it's much. And you're saying it wouldn't be issued uniform if it is?
No,
if
that's
my
not
observation is
issued
correct.
uniform. The shirt is not issued.
If you would pause.
We have tried to pause it as quickly as we could. That's when he turns his back to the camera.
Sorry, we tried to stop it as quickly as we could because that's the point at which he turns his back to the camera. And Commissioner Baloyi, is it at this point?
Yes.
What can you make out?
It is definitely embroidered letters which states EMPD.
Okay.
Thank you.
But it is not an official shirt. It's not part of the schedule. It's not issued by the stores of EMPD at all.
Thank you. That then what leads us to video 3. Okay.
So it starts off with the person in Etienne at the wall itself trying to climb over the wall. He's hanging there on the top, in the middle.
Raak hulle op die muur raak op die ding daarso. Daarso. Raak aan die hek op.
So that's the next one, like the basic rifle.
So he's a civilian now. He climbs into the vehicle and the police vehicle, and he's driving the police vehicle into the premises.
Is this the vehicle that you said was Stolz's?
It's Stolz's official vehicle that's been assigned to her.
Kom hom hulle uit.
Stolz is the lady that walks now here in the front.
Ons daar.
Sorry, please say that again.
Stolz, the lady walking towards Oom Willem now, that is Kersha Lee Stolz.
Then a member of the EMPD.
She was a member of the EMPD till she resigned.
Okay.
And then the individual with his back to us is the one I assume is Willem, because they speak about him and that he's the one being accosted on the premises.
Okay.
I was hoping, Commissioner, that you would not identify the occupants of the property.
Sorry,
Because in your statement, you mentioned that the person, the whistleblower that provided you the tape, was killed shortly after these officers were granted bail.
that's correct,
I think
Commissioner.
just for the safety of the individuals, can we not mention their names, please? Is that in order?
Commissioner Khumalo is pointing out, and I think you had indicated at the start of your testimony in respect of this matter, that the complainant expressed that he doesn't have a trust of the police and didn't want to engage. And in light of your testimony that your informant, Hanekom, was killed shortly after they were granted bail, that perhaps it might be best not to say as little as possible about the identity of the people affected by this operation.
Sorry, Commissioner.
Thank you.
18 in die kar. Vra sy vir die warehouse, al wys ook vir hom in die warehouse toe.
She asked where's the warehouse, and then the person showed her towards where the warehouse is.
Het hy gesê hy is die brigadier hier?
Nee, die brigadier sit op
Sit hy nog in die kar?
So they ask if that person indicates he's the brigadier, and then he says no, he's still sitting in the car at the back.
Now, coming in from the direction of the gate towards the camera, I think it's yet another person who seems to have a light-colored top. Is that an EMPD member or another civilian, or you don't know?
That's also an EMPD member,
Okay.
just in civilian clothes. That one on the right-hand side
Yes.
is an EMPD member in civilian clothes.
Okay.
Sê hy is die brigadier hier?
Nee, die
Nee,
brigadier sit op
sit hy nog in die kar? Ok, so hulle was dan, nou kyk, maar klim 18 uit die kar uit. Hoe lang het jy al daar gestaan?
'n paar minute.
There they speak to the passenger in the back of the car. So Kershaw went to the passenger door at the back and she opened it, and the driver in the orange shirt, he climbed out and opened the door for her. And now Kershaw is speaking to the person in the back of the car, which when he climbs out, we can immediately recognize him, but it's Brigadier Mkhwanazi.
Now, the driver in the orange top that you just referenced,
He's also a member.
also a member of the MPD. Thank you.
And have you been able to identify this vehicle who it's allocated to? The second
vehicle is
one.
also, it's allocated to the specialized services, but we can identify them.
Who the driver was?
Yes.
Thank you.
Nou, praat hulle met hom agter in die kar. So hulle was 3 in die kar.
So the person that now climbed, you can see from the head and the side profile that we know him it's Brigadier Mkhwanazi.
Okay.
Onthou daar's 2 maniere by die uit nie. By die hele tyd by die uit bly staan.
Kom hier, so hulle was 4 in my kar. Hy loop daar, loop 2 daar na die warehouse se kant toe.
That's the end of tape 3.
Correct, Commissioner.
Any
Can we
Commissioner,
just
sir.
confirm that property that we saw in tape 1, 2, and 3, that's the Meyerton property?
Correct, Commissioners.
any concluding remarks on the videos we've just watched before we move to the next matter?
No, it's just that
Before you do your conclusion, an operation such as this, you would expect, am I correct to assume or to expect that there would be a record of it? If it's a proper operation, there would be a record of it in the municipality or in the EMPD, in fact, let me say.
Commissioner, if it was a legal operation, but it's so far outside our area that we wouldn't, as management, you wouldn't allow it. If an officer comes to you and say, I have information of a crime going to take place in Soweto or in Meyerton, the first instructions will be take your information, hand it over to SAPS so that the SAPS can actually do a proper operation in that area. There's no going outside your area exposure to way more than just you acting outside your mandate. If you are injured there, your injury on duty doesn't cover anything. If anything happens there, so it should be, if there's an operation, there should be records of it, but this whole operation is irregular, and therefore I don't think there's any proof in the city itself that there's records that this actually took place. This is a crime that's taking place, and there will not be records of crime kept.
In your narration, in that first column, you describe it as theft, copper, and we see that they're going into either business or private premises. Is this part of your mandate to go into premises and investigate copper theft? When I say your, I mean the EMPD's mandate.
We have in our powers that we can search and we can enter premises when crime and things happen right in front of us. However, when it comes down to copper, second-hand goods and things like that, we don't have investigative powers in that matter. We also don't have powers in terms of the Second-Hand Goods Act to enter a premises to search. It's one of the shortcomings that we as Metro Police have, that we think we have, and we have requested Minister Mkhwanazi actually to give us those powers, that we have limited powers to investigate second-hand goods shops and that. What we do in practice is that we would contact the local SAPS and say, there's a second-hand goods store, they're selling copper, there's allegations for that, and then SAPS will go together with us, because SAPS have got the power to go into those premises, but we cannot go into that power. So we don't have powers in terms of the Second-Hand Goods Act. And if anything, if we receive information like that, the proper procedure would be that we ask the local SAPS to accompany us. So we just have a police officer there as well when we then search the property for copper and infrastructure or thefts related to Second-Hand Goods Act.
And what about the involvement of civilians in your operations, assuming this was a proper operation?
Civilians will not, it's so strange. Civilians will not be allowed into operations, even as informants, because you protect your informants. You don't expose your informant. If it's a genuine case of theft of copper that you now illegally investigate because you have this false perception that you can investigate them, even if you enter that premises, then why would you take your civilian informant with you? Because you will expose him. So civilians, and we as police don't bring civilians together on our operations. It's unheard of that we actually do that.
And what about civilian use of your property, such as we see Mr. Van der Walt driving a motor vehicle of the EMPD? There must be rules about that.
It's illegal, firstly, and The very short answer is that's impersonation of a police officer. You're using resources belonging to the state, and that's seconds or moments while you're driving the car. You're driving a police car, so you're actually impersonating a police officer. And you can go, most probably if there's real police on the scene, you can arrest him for theft. You can arrest him for use of your property. It is highly irregular that civilians, the only civilians I know of that drive our vehicles is the mechanic when we take it into the workshop, and even then it becomes problematic. We have established a whole unit, that the fleet unit, that makes sure that the mechanic doesn't, for instance, drive our vehicles into the public road distances. It's so that we use our own office to say, take it to the garage or take it to the workshop for repairs. It becomes highly problematic if civilians start to drive official police vehicles.
So in a normal working, functional and orderly work environment that the EMPD should have been, the involvement of a civilian such as Mr. van der Walt in the operation and in driving the vehicle of the municipality, but also impersonating a police officer, that would have been disciplinable action against the officers that are involved with him. Am I correct?
It will be. It should be where you allow someone else to drive or operate the vehicle. So the officer who's responsible for the vehicle, in this case, for instance, Kershaw Lee Stalls, or the brigadier who's on the scene, he's an overall in command. It's a prosecutable or a disciplinary matter for using and allowing other people to use our resources.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr.
One last point, sorry. You're saying these officers, the EMPD officers, were arrested and charged with theft. So they were not just there to investigate. They were accused of stealing the copper.
Correct, Commissioner.
As a follow-up to the answer you gave to one of Commissioner Baloyi's questions, this is the information you received from Mr. Magagula, the IPT investigator, at the meeting of the 6th of March, 2023?
He presented the information, but the video clips and all the other information I received from Hanekom afterwards. I also handed all of this over to IPAT.
Okay. Now, before we get to the handing over, the follow-up question to Commissioner Baloyi's question, having been informed of this particular case, or any of these cases, did you investigate whether or not there are records within the EMPD of an operation such as, and I say operation in inverted commas, of course, such as what we have just watched on the screens?
It was investigated and we couldn't find anything related to this matter.
Okay. And insofar as the tapes are concerned, the video recordings are concerned, you said you handed them over to IPID. Firstly, to who specifically did you hand them over and when?
Immediately after it became into our possession, it was handed over to Investigator Makagula, but it was also at a later stage copied, but it was copied, I think it's in this year, to Mrs. Masuku as well.
Now you say immediately after you came into possession, perhaps then let's backtrack. When did you come into possession of these tapes?
I don't know the exact, it's in my emails. I will, during lunchtime, I can look at my emails, the exact date I received it, and then I will give the correct date.
Okay, that would assist greatly. Thank you.
Lastly, Commissioner, you say there is no record of this operation. Now, and the complaint here is theft copper. So if any copper was removed from the premises, there is no record in the EMPD or in the municipality. Only Brigadier Mkhwanazi and these people in the operation would know what happened to that copper. Is that fair?
Correct, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner, just to add there, if we do a legal operation, any property, any goods that is confiscated by us or impounded, if it's criminal related, those property is immediately handed over to SAPS and it's entered into their SAP 13, which is an impoundment because it's part of a crime. So whatever we, in a legal operation, would impound, we will hand over to SAPS and it will form part of the SAPS because they are then eventually the investigators into this. But we don't have a impoundment of copper or anything like that. The only time that we will impound things is in terms of our bylaws, which is fruits or vegetables or things that is left next to the road, which is a bylaw related matter.
And officers such as we see on the video clip with those vehicles, would they have the authority to impound? Or you would have a different set of people that would do the impound, the removal of property?
They wouldn't have the power to impound. If it is a genuine crime and you catch someone, let's say it's a vehicle found with copper on the back of the vehicle, and during my normal patrols I found this vehicle. The moment I find that vehicle, I will actually impound it and arrest them, and then I'll take the arrested person to SAPS together with the vehicle, and I'll hand it over to SAPS, and it will be recorded in their records, because it is part of evidence of a crime that was committed. Those property will not come through my pounds as a city. Through my pounds will only be bylaw related goods, which was impounded or confiscated in terms of my bylaws. It's the only goods that will come through me. Even stolen vehicles. If I discover and found a stolen vehicle back, if it's after hours, it will come into my pound. But because SAPS pounds will then be closed at night. But the moment the pound open the next morning and it's a stolen vehicle, we will shift the stolen vehicles over to the SAPS pound so that it can be impounded there. Any crime-related evidence is handed over to SAPS and it is impounded by them.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Ms.
And just to conclude, earlier regarding this very matter, you had an engagement with Commissioner Khumalo, who I think indicated that Meyerton is outside the jurisdiction of the EMPD. You recall that?
Correct.
Do you know under which jurisdiction or whose jurisdiction it would fall, firstly?
Most probably Meyerton Police, which is in the Midvaal municipal area.
Midvaal.
Meyerton, the municipal areas and the South African Police Service areas and the magisterial areas differ.
Yes.
Since we became metros, it went haywire. Originally, it was city to city allowance, so the magisterial district of Benoni was aligned to the Benoni municipality. But since we became metros, the boundaries is now 3 different boundaries. The courts have got, judicial side has got one set of boundaries, the police stations have a set of boundaries, and the municipality have a different set of boundaries. So I would immediately assume Meyerton falls under Meyerton South African Police Service, which most probably will then be served by Vereniging Court District in that area.
So if we were to pursue this particular case, are you suggesting the logical point to start is to get in contact with the Meyerton SAPS?
I will start with IPID first because they've got the docket.
Okay.
They know more information. And secondly, I will then go to SAPS, Meyerton, or that area. But I will start with IPID because they've got the docket.
Okay. No, thanks for the heads up.
If you made it this far, means you really enjoyed this video. Please let us know, what do you think about this shocking story in the comment section below. And please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.